watching the flight to the other island. Here's Terry, all excited about this flight, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that wasn't the view of excitement right there. This is the small airport. You can't see it, but we live right up a mountain right here behind this tree, and that's right by our house. So this airport is now really convenient for us, except that the planes are just a little bit smaller than the jets we're used to flying on when we go. So we'll see how it goes inside.
Bye.
Say bye for the last time if someone finds the camera. Okay, the last time someone put me on a small plane like this, I was kind of freaked out, but I'm okay now. All right, dude, here we go. We'll give you little views of the island too.
Oh look, they gave us bags.
Oh, good. You're gonna need one.
Oh, stop, guys.
This is the cockpit, by the way. It's a pretty cool airline, though. We've flown it once before, I think. But this is it for us. Here we go. There's the college. Here comes the helicopter right down there underneath us. Above the ships in the shipyard at Pearl Harbor. Huh? There were on December 5th, 1941. Golf course right in the middle of town. Waikiki starts with this little round one here, and goes all the way along there. So this is the island of Molokaʻi. See, Molokaʻi is not very inhabited. There's a few little communities here and there. Most of them are going under. These are some of the biggest cliffs on all the islands on this side. Matter of fact, here in a moment we'll come up and there will be a leper colony called Kahoʻolawe. It's been here for years. So these are the cliffs above Kahoʻolawe, and years ago, when there was leprosy was pretty prevalent, anybody who got leprosy was brought here and brought down to Kahoʻolawe. If you look inside the mountain right in there, if you can see it, there's kind of a Z coming around in the trail. That's the trail that comes down to the city of Kahoʻolawe. This is Kahoʻolawe. There's three ways. Donkey down that ridge over there. Dead center of your screen right now. You can see Z's in the hill. By plane, they got a little airport strip down here below us. You can't see it. Or by boat, and they have also below us a place where boats can come up and park. But that is a leper colony called Kahoʻolawe. And since there was no way to get in here, they couldn't affect anyone, and they couldn't get off the island. The Island of Maui. Down in the water too. It's called an outcrop, and it's eroding away, but it takes years and years, but it's an outcrop where the lava flowed up. You see the color strips of sand and stuff in the water. It's not real deep here. The water's very shallow on this side, the long plain. The light colors you see in the ocean are the sand coming out from the coral sand coming out. Yeah. It's landing on a different runway, but it's still the same airport. Coming into
competing for nutrients and water, so we've gone through a major pruning and stumping of the farm. So on this terrace, as it wraps around, we will plant another 180 trees on this terrace, and then on the third terrace down below we can get another 70 trees for a total grow out of close to 600 trees within the 2 acres. Good mycelia and growth in here. I mean, it's extremely fertile soil, no compaction, so this will make a great home for the first planting out. So this is the Kanaka Kopa, the heirloom Hawaiian coffee that we brought down from the watershed. With the BLM, coffee is an invasive plant, so we removed 300 trees from the watershed, and this is the first generation of Typica. You can see with a corrugated leaf shows that it's the Kanaka Kopa, and then the bronze tips on the new leaves does show that it is a Typica variety. So these trees are 5 years old. We planted them in the clump just as we found them in the watershed, and they were at the state where they just had 2 true leaves. And you can see, this is just for a demonstration, but we leave overripes on, and we have some color coming in and some fruit. But we wanted to leave these trees in a more natural setting, as this was the first set of coffee that we brought down from the farm up above in the watershed. When we first got into the coffee, the university recommended that we stump the trees at about 1 foot off the ground and go with 4 verticals. That worked fine for the first 3 years. Last year, our fruit set was so heavy with the 3 verticals that we had tree splitting, so we ended up having to stump the trees again, take them all the way down, and now we've raised the elevation to where the head of the tree is at knee height, and we're only going with 3 verticals. This tree here, you can see now, has 3 verticals, and of course all these suckers here will come off. As before, we had 2 large verticals coming out here, and as you can see, it was way below the recommended height of knee height. That was causing such a structure within the tree that was causing it to split, and that's where we were getting the severe tree damage. So with the pruning and only having the 3 verticals, it's opened up the interior of the tree to get much more light. On the Big Island, we've had coffee berry borer disease, beetles, and we don't have them on this island, but we have some traps on the farm for detection that we monitor just to make sure that we don't have infestation. And you can see on this tree, fruit set. It's pretty decent. So this is the geisha coffee that we brought from Panama and did a quarantine grow out with the state. They came out of quarantine on April 13th, and the quarantine room is this 8x8 cinder block room with screens on 2 of the windows. We had to bring in our own light and our own, obviously, irrigation for it. We needed to bring the trees out to where they would harden up and get a little bit more natural wood, be in the wind so they would stiffen up and get a little bit more natural light. These trees are now at the point to where they're starting to branch, and they've got good wood structure, good root structure, and they're air pruning, and these are ready to get planted out in the field within the month. This will be the first experiment with geisha coffee in the Hawaiian Islands. The university has 1 tree, and that's the only tree that we've been able to find that's a geisha variety. What we'll be doing is we'll be doing an interplanting between these trees on the rows. So we'll be bringing in another 300 trees up here, and we'll use the existing Kanaka Kopa as a windbreak, shade break while the geisha coffee is developing. Then at year 5, we'll end up removing probably 200 of a Kanaka copa, keeping the original trees up at the front and changing out the farm to geisha coffee. For shade and windbreak, we grow the holly koa, and this koa here is 4 years old. We've had a black Hawaiian stink bug that's caused a lot of damage. We've lost 20 trees on the farm already, but this tree too is also a nitrogen fixing tree. It gives great litter also. This is another nitrogen fixing tree. This is the Hawaiian ice cream bean tree. It gets a very long bean, and they say that if you boil it, it actually tastes like vanilla ice cream. So we'll see in the future. For a cover crop, in addition to the mulch, we grow a perennial peanut, which is a nitrogen fixing ground cover. The one thing about the peanut, it doesn't use a whole lot of water, and it does well with the birds in the area, along with the cowpea. So we grow cowpea for a nitrogen fixer also. We were experimenting with a new cover crop. This is oilseed radish or white mustard. And the great thing about the radish, it has a very long taproot. It brings all the nutrients out of the ground and the minerals up through the leaves, and then we go ahead and come through with a weed whacker, take the radish out, let it decompose. So now all these nutrients are back at the top of the ground, letting the root decompose in the ground, bringing up the organic matter within the root, within the soils. And it's opened the soil up, and it's helped on the drainage. This is an Australian butterfly pea. The blue flower is what they make organic edible food dye, blue food dyes from. And the great thing about this flower, it's got a nice peppery bite to it, so it makes a nice edible flower in a salad. It's real hard to find this color in a salad topping, and it's again a nitrogen fixing crop, but it's a very, very lovely flower, and it's got a nice peppery bite to it. We also have nasturtiums, and there's some cowpea, lima beans, and pole beans in through this area, again just to build up the organic matter, add some benefit for the bird population, and for us to have a little something to graze on. Lots of ladybugs, both adults and youth. So they're definitely doing their job, because the aphid infestation is going away, and it's great seeing. They found studies that when you do have pollinators and bees on the farm, you have gotten a higher yield. So we're just working with nature and putting up a good host for the natural or the smaller pollinators to work the farm. We do have plans in the future to bring hives onto the farm, but as yet we haven't gotten into the construction of them. This is our Penagos Eco Wet Mill 500. It will do 500 kilos of coffee an hour. It's still bucket base driven from a farm standpoint. This is the hopper where the coffee cherries go through. This auger takes it into this cone drum, which removes the parchment. The parchment comes down the chute and auger and goes out the wall, carrying the trash to the compost bin. The coffee beans come down this chute. This auger and separator separates the overripes and the greens. The coffee fruit then falls down through here into the mechanical demucilage. The mechanical demucilage has an auger screw that brings the coffee up, applying pressure against these veins, extracting the pectins. This control valve here allows the pressure for how much pressure is put on the beans, and then the coffee comes out with the pectins removed here, ready to go on the drying rack. so that we don't have to do a water fermentation. This saves extremely large amount of water on the farm, and it gives us the opportunity to get the coffee on the drying rack 2 days earlier, or to produce a honey style coffee. This is our dry mill for removing the parchment, and dry coffee goes in here when it's at about 11% moisture with the parchment on it. After it's milled, the coffee comes out and it's still at between 10 to 12% moisture, so it's not quite ready to go necessarily into the roaster, but sometimes it is. But it does a nice product as far as removing the parchment and polishing the silver skin. So we're fortunate. Today we've got 2 roasters on the farm. We have the 1 pound San Franciscan roaster, and then our dear friends Patsy and Roby Price have a 6 pound roaster that they've parked here on the farm until they get their roasting facility up and built. It's nice playing with the 2 roasters, getting one profile started on one roaster and then implementing it into the 6 pound roaster, eventually moving up into yet another larger roaster. One of the things what we wanted to make sure when people get home is that they could reproduce their coffee as they had on the farm. So we took 4 Mr. Coffees, rewired them so they can all brew at the same time. So when people come to the farm, we can do 4 flights of coffee as a sampling. Regardless of what we call it, we've just color coded the pots. So if she likes the yellow one and he likes the red one, we can talk about the nuances between those 2 coffees. Regardless of the name, all they remember is that, you know what, when I went to the farm, I liked the green coffee. We wanted them to experience on the farm what they would have at home, and we think that this is a great way to do it.